Hey guys, it's Malcolm the Dangle with Finish Together here talking with the boss man himself, Russ Yeager. Hey Russ, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting? We're hearing a lot of intermittent fasting on what's like the best diet out there. What are your thoughts on it?
Hey Malcolm, how's it going? Hey guys, how you doing today? So yeah, you can't go through your Facebook news feed, turn on the TV without hearing about intermittent fasting, right? It's all the rage now. You know, it seems like we always have a new diet coming. You know, I'll give my opinion. I got hooked into it too. So I said, hey, I'm going to try it out. And that's what I do. When there's something, people say, what about this, what about that? I can look at the research, but I can't speak to it unless I try it on myself. So for about the last 4 months, I actually have been doing intermittent fasting. Actually, in our newsletter, our Middle Muscle Monday, which is on our Fitness Together, Dunwoody and Johns Creek site here, Facebook site, you can check it out. I talk about the difference between the traditional, eating every 3 hours, smaller meals, and doing intermittent fasting. I've always in the past done the every 3 hours, eating the small meals. It definitely works. It gets your metabolism going. I can get very, very lean when I follow that, feel good, have good energy. So this intermittent fasting thing, does it work? I said, hey, I'm going to try it out. So for about the last 4 months, I'm going to be doing it. In the article, I talk about some of the pros and cons, but quickly, the pros of it is you get to eat bigger meals. I like that. So it's 10:45 right now. I've had water. I'm having my black coffee. I'm allowed to do that. About 12:30, 1 o'clock, I'll have my first meal. I worked out on an empty stomach this morning doing my cardio. When I've tried working out on an empty stomach doing weights, I feel pretty good, but the energy's definitely not as good. So I guess I kind of jumped to a negative. If you have to work out in the morning and you're doing strength training, one of the most important things is you're able to lift heavy. For me, not having any food on my stomach makes that a challenge. Fortunately, I'm able to work out in the afternoon normally after I've had my first meal, so that works pretty good. But going back to, one of the benefits is it's easier. I have 3 babies at home. I'm running a couple of businesses. Time is certainly tough, having to carry around a cooler all the time, although I still have my cooler. Once you have it, it's hard to let it go. But, eating 2 to 3 meals a day versus eating 6 or 7, it's definitely easier. It's a time saver. Also, with intermittent fasting, you need to get enough nutrients in and enough calories in, so you have to have bigger meals. And so, having those bigger meals where I get to feel fuller, I actually enjoy that instead of, eating the little bird meals and being starving all the time. And so I really, have enjoyed it as a lifestyle. I feel like I've stayed strong. One of the tests right now is trying to get lean. So, springtime's coming up. Like everybody, hey, want to lean up a little bit. So I'm really focusing on trying to do that now. And the verdict's out. So I'm gonna let you guys know in a few months, how I feel about getting lean using intermittent fasting versus doing the 3 times, every 2 to 3 hour small meals, which I know works. So it's going to be an experiment. I'm going to let you guys know how I feel, how hard it is, how hungry I am. One thing I think that is important is I think a lot of the people talking about intermittent fasting basically say as long as you eat in that window, which is typically kind of a normal way to do it. There's different ways, but you fast for 16 hours and you eat in a window of 8 hours, and that's what I follow. So I typically will have my first meal about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I'll finish my last meal about 8:30 in the evening. A lot of people say, as long as you stay in that window, just eat whatever you want, doesn't matter. I think that's total BS. Because I tried that over the holidays. I just stayed in the window, but eating too many calories, too much junk. I will say that I feel like the intermittent fasting helps me from gaining weight by staying in that window, even though I was eating too much over the holidays. But in terms of getting lean, to think that you can eat as much of whatever you want and get lean just because you're intermittent fasting, that's total BS. You got to control your calories, you got to control your macronutrients, and you want to eat mostly healthy food because you don't want to look good and have your insides shit, basically, right? So that's just a quick, kind of analysis. I'll talk more about it because I know it's something you guys are super interested in, and I'm going to, again, kind of go along with my journey. Last thing I'll say, it's not for everybody. It is all the rage. Don't just jump into it. If you have any health concerns, going, fasting that long can, create issues, and some people just can't do it. My wife tried it, and she was like, "Forget this. I can't not eat breakfast. I love breakfast. I'm hungry and I'm grumpy, so it doesn't work. Doesn't work for her. So far it's working pretty well for me. If you are going to do it, get with a nutritionist, or at least talk with someone who has knowledge about it. But again, it's everybody's different. It kind of depends on what works best for you. Regardless, whatever way you choose to eat, make sure you try to keep it healthy. Make sure you're working out. If you're eating, right, but you're not working out, you're never going to have the body and the tone that you want. And most of all, make sure you have an awesome day. See you later.
And that's it, folks, from the boss man himself on intermittent fasting. Thank you so much, Russ. And be sure to check out our Fitness Together newsletter for more awesome tips. Thank you guys so much. See you guys again next week.